This is the fourth annual Tiki Pop Art Panel. Thank you guys so much for coming out, especially braving the heat, the elements, the crowd. I understand that there's a pretty long wait out there, so thank you guys for putting up with that and being here. We really appreciate it. We're going to do something a little different than we've done in previous panels. We're going to talk more about the collecting side of it and Tiki collections. We're going to share our stories as well as some of the items in our collection and talk about them a little bit, but we want to hear from you guys as well. So without further ado, let's introduce the panelists. I guess we'll start with you.
Hi, I'm Sara. I am not a Tiki pop artist, but I do collect a lot of things. I work in film, I sew things, I'm a tailor, so, but I have lots of cool stuff to bring.
Can you hear her okay?
No. The mic, yeah, bring the mic closer.
There we go. Yeah, there we go. All right. I'm Sara. I'm not important. These guys are good.
That's not true. If you're a collector, then this panel's about you.
Yeah.
I once spent hours before giving up trying to recreate a Death Star fish float globe that you did. And then I gave up in frustration.
It makes you feel like we've never finished it.
But no collection is ever finished. I am Jonathan Chaffin. I design tiki mugs as horror and clay. With my wife Allison, we produce Inohele, which is Atlanta's Tiki Weekend, and the Atlanta Tiki Home Bar Tour. As you can tell from all the stuff in front of me, I actually go home to a bare white house. Ultra minimalism is my byword.
Feng shui.
Oh yes. I went back to the door with a big bamboo seat. Nice try. Yeah, I'm a Venture Brothers fan. And that's really like I got into designing stuff because I got into collecting stuff well before that. So I'm always happy to talk about collecting and tiki and everything else.
Good, because that's what we're here to do. My name is Mike Gordon, and I'm a comic writer, publisher. I do the book Tiki Zombie, and since I'm a comic creator, I can't afford Tiki collectibles. No, I've got a few. I'm really just starting a lot of my collection, so I'll be learning as much as anybody here.
Cool. I'm Derek Yaniger. I do art with a retro vibe, and I dig all things retro, whether it's burlesque, cocktail, or rockabilly, and tiki, of course, fits into that world. And I collect. I mean, and what is wrong with us? Why? All artists, all creatives, why are we so obsessively collecting
We're
everything?
filling the emptiness in our hearts.
Bingo. Yeah. So just like these lunatics, I have massive collections of ridiculous crap that I have absolutely no need for. But I love it. It makes me feel happy. Let's unite.
So I want to start with by asking, what was the first, or what's the item in your collection that you've had the longest? So how did you get your tiki collection started? What was the first item? Do you recall?
First item. Damn, that's
Really?
Oh, my first thing that I became obsessed with before mugs was the Coco Joe's lava, made with real lava. And that was what got me. Who is lava? It's me. It's probably like the Kiss comic that was printed in Kiss blood, where there's probably no lava in the damn thing at all. But I became obsessed with those little things because they were small and they were affordable, and you could get them. You'd find them all kinds of places, and they made big ones too. So that kind of started me off on the whole tiki thing. This was probably late '80s, and then mugs came soon after that.
One of the items that I have in my collection that's probably the most precious to me is my mom's 45 single of Rockabye Baby by Elvis.
Oh,
yeah. So that's my early, I used to play that 45 over and over again, and I have to believe that, eventually when I did recognize that, hey, I'm into tiki, that was the beginning of it.
I think I've always collected stuff, but when it switched from being mid-century modern art and animated stuff over to tiki, two things happened in the same time period. I don't remember which came first. One of them was I went to a prop warehouse sale looking for Halloween stuff, and Allison got me a little like chipped Tiki Lilani, like thin old mug for like a dime, and that's it's still like in my collection. And I got one of your prints because we went to the Trader Vic's thing, and it's the one with the. This was like one of Allison and I's first dates.
Palooza thing.
Yeah, and it's the cave woman is dragging the besotted drunken guy out by his hair.
That was the second print I ever did.
Yeah.
Wow.
Crazy. I'm a Derek Yaniger snob.
You guys go back. I feel like I'm in the way.
I came in actually through military. I was really into World War II, World War I, and it kind of pushed into learning more about what happened when they came back from the war, and just all the vintageness. And then I loved the idea of like grandparents from our generation having basement tiki bars. I was obsessed with that whole basement tiki bar world and finding photos of vintage houses with these secret bars in the basement that just were a whole different, I'm a master escapist. I need to get out of the real world a lot, especially these days. And so the idea of being able to just walk down the stairs and be in a whole other world on vacations, it blew me away. So that's where
What would you say are your primary focus when you collect something? Are you looking for something specific? Do you collect like primarily mugs? Yeah, I'm looking at you. Or is it artwork, or shirts, or music? What
It's everything. It's everything.
Yeah.
It really is ridiculous. Yeah. I mean, when I was really young, I had toys. It was all toys. When you're a little kid, you have toys. But I had my toys, and even back then, I kind of knew these were valuable. I had like Batman and all my little toys. And I had boxed all these things up and went away to college, and I put them in the attic of my home. And went away to college, came back from college, was like, oh, I gotta go to the attic and get all my crap. And I went, and there was all my boxes were gone.
Oh no.
Yeah, and I came back down and Mom, what did you do? You wanted all that stuff? So I kind of, around then was really where I started, I wanted to replace all these things, and I became, so I wanted to hold on to everything and not let go. But yeah, anything for me, anything retro culture. It could be beatnik figurines, it could be, shot glasses, there's just anything that fits into that retro world is what I collect.
It is interesting how as collectors, or just whatever, we when we're younger, we want to get the newest thing. We want to get the newest thing. Don't get that because it's old. We want to get the newest thing. And at some point, we change and turn a corner. We went to the. I remember getting that. I remember having that when I was young. I need that again. And we spent a lot of time getting stuff that we had in the past,
Exactly.
or didn't get in the past.
Yes.
I think I got my first Tiki mug about maybe 7-8 years ago, and it was one, I didn't even know this at the time because I just grabbed a couple that I was going to display on my table for the comic, and one of them turned out to be one of Crazy Al's earliest mugs. So I later on I actually brought that mug to him because he was at Hukilau and he signed it for me and all that. So that was pretty cool. But what was amazing to me is that I started with a couple, and before I knew it, I had like 50. So, and I'm like, these are more than I can drink out of.
Were you whack ambition?
Yeah, and a lot of them are yours.
Thank you.
Absolutely. A couple of them are yours.
I'll take it.
And it's just, the mugs are I don't think I'll ever stop collecting Tiki mugs. And now it's gotten insane with, the cross-culture, or the cross-pollination between Tiki and mugs and pop culture. Because now there's the geeky Tikis, there's the Mondo Tikis, there's all these different sort of, we're not here to debate like what really is Tiki, because right now it's more like whatever you want to collect, whatever you consider it to be, right?
Exactly.
So,
Personal.
I just got in the mail last week, actually it was a few days before I got here, Mondo's Jaws mug. And it's gorgeous.
The swizzle stick sells.
Oh, the swizzle stick sold me. Yeah, the swizzle stick is the little naked woman swimming. and the mug is like, you know, the shark coming up. Just like I already had their alien mug, and then they had a female or a queen alien mug.
Day with the eggs.
And then they had face hugger swizzles, and I was like, I have to have this. I have to have this.
What is wrong with us?
I know.
We're grown ass people.
You know, I have to say, growing up, my mom she was a tchotchke person. She just had tchotchkes in every corner of the house, every little shelf, everywhere. And there was no order to it. It was just chaos. It was everywhere. I didn't even know what any of it meant. So I feel like I grew up wanting all the same stuff, but needing it to be like organized and have like a personal connection to all of it. So like I learned I couldn't just get everything I liked. It had to mean something. So I collect, I'm really into literature, so I love old books. I collect a lot of old Tiki books. I collect monsters. I love old monsters, classic, anything that has to do with old monsters I'm really into. And I'm a big Lovecraft fan, which kind of brings both of those together. So this guy is just filling my bank account.
Hooray!
But yeah, so I think you have to learn what to hone in on, because otherwise you'll just spend $1 million and have a whole bunch of stuff that just sits there and has no meaning to it.
So I love Halloween and monsters and classic monster stuff, so I cannot say no to a cool shrunken head. I got a shrunken head case, but
Are we talking like actual shrunken head?
I've only got 2.
Okay. Two heads are better than one.
I'm told they're goat, but I occasionally hope that they're not. I collect a lot of mugs because I know a lot of mug makers. It's like, oh, there's a new thing for Derek. Oh, there's a new thing for Monk Tiki. There's a new thing, and that's its own kind of private hell. Because so hey, I got this glaze thing. I can't sell it. Do you want one? Well, then I gotta store it. But yes. I also collect everything. It's everything. And if it's Tiki related or horror related or geek related, I've probably got some begging not to be complete. I can't ever go more than 60%, because that's when the completist gene kicks in, and then you go crazy.
Right.
Because it's like I can have a good amount of something, but if I've got like every but one, then I think there's a madness that happens.
So do you buy things that you wouldn't normally buy themselves, but because they complete your collection, you pay them for?
Absolutely.
See, I can't.
I absolutely.
I will have an incomplete collection. If I don't like it, I'm not buying it.
Yeah, but see, what I like is having
I
a
gotta
whole
like it.
collection.
Yeah.
But so that means that I tend to buy like a lot of things instead. Instead, like let's keep that demon in a box. Because once upon a time I got into role-playing novels, and around like the 80s, so I got all of it. For like 5 years I had every novel TSR published up to that point, including like the old Greyhawk ones and the Shadow Runs.
Those aren't good.
You gotta check yourself into rehab when you find yourself buying Death Dealer books just for the Frazetta art on the cover.
Oh, yeah.
These are comic books.
I give you that.
It's bad books, dude.
Terrible.
Well, outside of Tiki stuff, my main collection is comics. I love reading comics. I get tons of comics. I must have, I lost count a long time ago. It's like 50 or 60 long boxes.
Yeah.
And of course, if it's got anything to do with Tiki, which not a lot of them do. So that's a small number. There's the Tiki Joe Mysteries, and then there's another independent person that got it. But Tiki PI was an independent comic. It was pretty cool back in the day. And then even if it's got remotely, like there's one really cool like old issue of Thor where he's fighting the Easter Island alien, and it just looked like a gorgeous cover. Like that's just a gorgeous cover, and because I don't think it's Kirby, but it's Kirby inspired, So anything like that is a must-have in my collection. So.
Yeah. My main collection, my most thorough, I guess, complete collection is lunchboxes.
That's a rabbit hole.
I have so many freaking lunchboxes. When I started, even before eBay, I would go to Lakewood or I would go to like flea markets and was constantly like finding lunchboxes. But one lunchbox story that I thought of and I put in my notes is on eBay I found a Lost in Space I've wanted forever, dome lunchbox. And so the guy said, the description was like it's covered with rust, it's covered with this thin rust. So I got it for like $50, and so I was like, it's $50. So I got this lunchbox, and I got it, and I pulled it out, and I'm like, it was covered with this red sheen, damn it. I'm like, so and I started rubbing on it, and I was like, crap, and it just started rubbing right off, just dirt. Well, it wasn't like red clay or something. And it wiped off, and it was perfect. This thing's like mint condition, for like $50. Yeah, the sky opened up and the angels.
So I forgot to ask, what do really collectible lunchboxes go for? Like
A lot.
Like
Depends, yeah.
My grandpa collected
Yeah,
lunchboxes.
yeah. My friend Charles out there's got more lunchboxes than me.
Okay.
Yeah.
How do you store that?
You just stack, you have shelves. You just have walls of shelves.
The tops of kitchen counters are really good. Or
Yes,
kitchen
yes.
cabinets.
Yeah, I've done that before, yeah. But I've got a ton of those.
My main collection outside of Tiki stuff is wampas. I have a big thing for the big fluffy white monster from Star Wars. They're good, but there's a lot of bad wampa toys out there. They've been around for a while.
Yeah.
What the hell's wrong?
It's a big white snow monster from
the
Hawk.
horns.
There's
It's
even
way
a,
better than a Yeti.
there's even a, of course she must have a wampa mug, right?
I have a wampa mug.
Okay.
I have the Tiki wampa mug.
Right.
I have a lot of wampas, but there's 2 or 3 that I won't buy. Like I won't get that ugly ruffle from Tiki because the colors on the face are bad. Yeah, I don't like it. It's got too much peach. Yeah. So I won't buy the bad wampas. I still have too many. But I'm very proud of it. I just put them all in a display case. They look very nice.
Any other stories of ones that were like that you had to like jump over like land and sea in order to get something in particular, to find something in particular?
I just married him, so he finds me all the hard to get ones. That's awesome.
I mean, how easy is it to find the stuff that you're looking for? I mean, now today with does eBay take the fun out of it?
Yeah, I think it does. Yeah, like I was just talking about, like the hunt, going. I've got a friend of mine who's working, I've known for 1,000 years, who's working my booth with me out here. And another lunchbox story, we were driving, we were in North Georgia, and we passed this, we were on camping, and we passed this little antique shop, and we were both rabid lunchbox collectors. So every time we went together, it was just, we always ended up in a fight, trying to catch the. So we walk into this place, and he goes right, and I go left. And we go around, and we end up at the back of the place. He's got a Hogan's Heroes, and I got a strawberry shortcake.
So if we find a Tiki lunchbox,
Call me.
Is there one?
I don't think there is. Is there?
What, a Tiki?
There's not a Gilligan's Island. Why is
They
there not a
didn't
Gilligan's
make
Island?
a Hawaiian Eye lunchbox?
No, I did not.
Wouldn't that be badass?
Yeah, eBay is definitely, like, eBay and Amazon, honestly, because Amazon's selling stuff now that's not new. Because I'm realizing now I have more of a problem than I thought. I also collect 70s paperback sci-fi novels, and I have an extensive collection of Ray Bradbury. It's my favorite author. And I could easily go online right now and complete my entire collection. But there's something about finding it in the wild.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
Holding it
getting
in
that
your hand.
thrill and
Yeah.
smelling it.
Yes.
Yeah, so I don't buy them.
Yeah, that's for me with comics. It was like, if you're trying to get a complete run. I mean, sure, I can go on eBay and get a complete run, but it's like when you have gaps and trying to fill those gaps, and hunting and going through the bins, the quarter bins and places. I mean, that was a lot of fun back when I was younger. Now that I'm older, I'm like, I'll just get it. I don't have time for all that now.
Yeah, me too.
The only comic book section that I ever collection that I ever dug into to try and complete were the old Chaos Comics Evil Ernie.
Oh yeah.
Because I got most of them as they were coming out because it was a horror comic, and I met Steve Hughes and like some of those guys here at Dragon Con like way back. And when that completist gene kicked in, and it was a couple of ash cans that I was missing. They were like early and they were expensive, and I had this thing where first off, eBay wasn't what it is now, but I wanted to find them, and it was important to me to find them.
Yeah.
And I allowed myself to call around comic shops, but I wouldn't I wouldn't go order them online or whatever.
Yeah.
So I finally found the last variant ash can cover in South Carolina when I went home to visit my folks. I'm like, yeah,
How did that feel?
I think I like yipped in the store. Like I think I was like, oh, gee! And I just did that in public. Oh, good.
Yeah, I definitely think that, you know, while if I'm looking for something and I go to eBay and I can't find it, it's not on eBay, I'm almost happy. Like I'm like, oh, now I have to hunt for it. This is cool. Now I have to hunt around.
Sometimes it's too easy.
Yeah.
Oh, when you want to start a collection and then you find all of them in one place the very first time you look for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I found your Tiki lunchbox, $14.
What is it? Vintage?
Early 2000s, I think. Done down.
No.
Is it just a
no
Tiki
say.
themed one? Is it something like a license?
Zuma's Revenge.
Okay. Zuma's Revenge. I think it's a video. It's a video.
It was a video game, and it's actually going to give it to you because I got it at home.
Ah.
And I need the room for more mugs.
I gave you $20.
It's not that good.
I definitely want
But
to
it's
hear.
good.
I definitely want to hear from these folks. But you guys brought like some items, and I just wanted to see if there's anything you want to talk about in particular that you guys brought.
Tell me about the cat.
Okay, yes. So I love these little wooden things, just in general. I love tiny wooden things. They make my life happy and they look really nice in my house. But cats apparently are all over. I know Waco did some, and these probably are not those, but a lot of people did them in that style. And I found a lot of them were done as like souvenirs, so they'll have like the name of an island carved into the front or something. And so I have about 5 or 6 of them, and I like them because they're kind of easy to find. Like you can go into a thrift shop every once in a while and come across 1 or 2 of them, and that makes it, I mean, obviously they're all over eBay, but you know, being able to actually find one every once in a while makes it very satisfying. And they look really nice on the mantle, but we're big cat people. We got 3, and so that kind of helps. I love anything Tiki that also crosses over into something else I'm passionate about, and so the cats are very, very dear to my heart. I brought in some of my books that I have. These are all core Tiki books. You have Tales from the South Pacific, kind of requirement, also Kon-Tiki. But then I started finding these other ones that pop up every once in a while. Like this has our little Easter Island moai on it. I haven't read any of this one yet, but it looks really cool. It's a good cover. This, however, is my favorite. This I came across over in Avondale Estates, and I've only gotten one other one similar, but this one's a lot nicer. And see, my day job, my main thing in life is I make costumes. I sew, I tailor, and so when I came across this, it kind of covered all the bases. This is a vintage little hula costume from Hawaii, and it's got like the little lei and the little bikini top and the grass skirt. And the other one I have actually has a little tiny plastic ukulele with it too, which is really cool. But I just love that it kind of covered all my things. So someday I'm going to put them all in a big display with like some vintage hula postcards or something. But for now, it lives in this.
Do you have any idea how old it is?
I would say probably the 50s is my guess.
Box is amazing.
Yeah, the fact that it came in the box,
Like
it says
$20
Aloha
for
from
box.
Hawaii. Yeah, it's numbered, but I think that's probably just a store number from when they sold it. Yeah,
It's written on the bottom.
pretty in love with it. So yeah, that's the keys of my collecting.
So just for a couple things. I collect mugs from anywhere with a good mug program. I love the Tiki Cat mugs. I go to a lot of trouble to grab those every time they come out. This is a promise to myself because I collect Finks. I love Ed Roth. So I collect Ed Roth model kits and then don't put them together because I'm terrified of screwing them up. One day I will be a good enough artist and then not have imposter syndrome enough that I can put these
I'll
things
come
together.
over and help you.
Wow.
Hey, that sounds fun.
I prefer weirdos directly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I do. I like the widows as well.
Dude, you saw it.
I have a Biker Mice from Mars lunchbox.
The freaky.
The freaky widows. Yeah, whatever.
I collect swizzle sticks. We use a whole bunch of swizzle sticks. So if I get them in the collection, I'll use them until they break. If anybody else collects ephemera, like coasters and matchbooks. Like I brought a bunch of art like coasters and matchbooks. You're welcome to come get one because I can't mail matchbooks. Turns out it's a really bad promo item to have made when they get mad at you if you mail them. And also like people stop using magazines. That's what I brought.
Anything from your collection that
I got nothing.
Tell us about your collection.
That's not mine. These are yours. I have this one, but I've never seen this one. This is cool. Sleeping dude.
Sleeping mini.
now is this? What is this? Is this from Hawaii, or is it?
Is that a Coco? No, HIP was the other one, right?
Yeah, Hoppo. Yeah. You're right.
Was it HIP?
Yeah.
Hawaiian something product.
Coco Joe's?
That's
Oh,
Coco
yeah.
Joe's. Yeah.
Yeah,
The
'cause
black ones are made of lava, but I don't know what these are just resin. I think.
No, they're it was they had palm wood, hopper wood, and
Sure.
yeah, just like it's long, and they have gold. They've got a gold finish that they said is
sure.
made with gold
Yeah, sure.
from Hawaii.
1
part per million.
I do have a quick story. Whitco stuff. Oh my god! I mean, how much do we love Whitco stuff? But it's hard to find Whitco stuff. So collectible. But I was in this was a few years ago. I was in a place, Chamblee, Dunwoody area there. They've got all those shops. And I was in this really cool store, and I walked past this long rectangle hanging vertically, and I was like, and I was, wait a second. I turned my head sideways, holy crap! And it was the Whitco flying geese, the long, skinny one, But the guy who had it had no idea what the hell it was, so he was hanging it the wrong way. So I was like, oh, I got this guy. So I got a hell of a deal on it. Oh my God, I love it. That's my favorite. But I couldn't bring it because it's freaking giant.
Yeah.
All right. Who out there wants to share part of their collection or talk about something that they collect?
So my super rare items that I collect, I told you guys that, but you don't recognize me. Hi. One thing that I love collecting is Disney vintage tiki room dresses. I have 3 of them, but my mom showed them to me, and she doesn't even realize how poor of a decision that was because I obsessed with them like crazy. Like I'm always just like looking out for the vintage 1970s tiki room dress wear, shirts, anything. So that's my terrible obsession.
There is a sort of cross section. People like who collect tiki who collect Disney.
Disneyana,
Yeah, I mean that's.
Adventureland and
Probably a lot of people's
Explorers
first
Club.
exposure to tiki.
It was mine. I mean, I think, outside of that, my mom's record, I think the first thing I can remember as a kid going to the Enchanted Tiki Room and loving it, that and Pirates and Haunted Mansion were my 3
Jungle
favorites.
Cruise.
And Jungle Cruise as well, and they're all like right on that same strip in Walt Disney World, so you can just keep going like back and forth. And I mean, it's just like and I bought I bought pirate stuff when I was at Disney World, and and now when you go there, they've got a whole store devoted to like the Haunted Mansion, and I don't know if there's as much Enchanted Tiki stuff. It kind of goes in waves, right?
Yeah, then there's the Polynesian. They have their own stuff. Because that was, for me, the first time I rode the monorail and we stopped at the Polynesian, it was just so big and so Polynesian, and just those houses with the things on top and the faces everywhere. It was magical. Ever since I was a kid, I wanted to go and find out more about that place. So finally getting to go there as an adult and seeing how great it was. It lived up to all my expectations. Yeah.
And I mean, I certainly would love to go to Trader Sam's.
Yeah.
And of course, they've got 20 mugs.
Yeah.
Bring a box.
Bring your credit card. Anyone else?
Our family has a modest collection of tiki mugs, but my sister and I inherited a number of interesting collections from our parents who collected things, and one that I was thinking of actually getting rid of, but it's just is now really endeared itself to me, was my mother's collection of little green sprout memorabilia. including a working Sprout telephone.
Tell her not to get rid of it. I don't want her to get rid of it.
Yeah, it's just. Yeah, it's,
Oh no,
it's,
no, she's
yeah,
forbidden from
it's-
getting rid of it.
Yeah,
it's-
she's
it's a
forbidden.
really good set, and she had everything. She's got it's a little green Sprout. So these are all from the early '80s, and one is a really amazing working telephone that we now have in our kind of crazy tiki lounge, and then there's one that she's got that was a jelly bean dispenser. So yeah, it's just
Still has the original jelly bean.
it still has the original jelly bean.
But she keeps wanting to get rid of it, and I keep telling her no.
Yeah.
If she's gonna get rid of it, give it to me.
Might be.
Yeah. So it's not tiki related, but it's a pretty weird collection.
That's why I gave it to her, because she liked weird things. But if she's gonna get rid of it, I'm keeping it. I'm not weird.
Are we considering 80s stuff vintage now?
I was about to
I still cut it off at
Look
the end
at
of
the
the
price of the
70s.
original 82 and 83 G.I. Joe figures.
Okay.
Tell me a $100 toy is not vintage.
Oh, yeah.
It's almost 40 years
And they
ago.
had chuckles. He
Yeah,
wore
it's our age. Doesn't seem vintage because I was a little, well aware when it was
Okay, well, yeah, so now I'm going to be depressed coming out of this.
Sorry.
That's
That was a really early collection. Was the I had to collect all the Cobra figures, just the troopers, like the basic guys.
yeah.
Well, you had to have a whole set.
Well, yeah, but they had like all these different MOSs for different guys. Like here's the flamethrower basic guy that's gonna die. Here's the water basic guy that's gonna die. It's like, I got Cobra Commander and then all these guys.
Now, let me ask you, did you play with them or did you are they pristine?
I was the kid
Are they
that
beat
ripped
up?
the cards off on purpose. Like it's time to play with these things.
Good for you. Good for you.
Cut the back of I love packs. Cut the back of the note card off into the shape, so it's like an index card. Keep it in the little thing.
Okay, that's okay. Yeah.
Said the pot.
Kettle black.
So, anyone else?
Amanda? So, this is also kind of where two hobbies collide. So I'm a knitter / crocheter, and I'm into really hand-dyed yarns, and some yarn dyers are naming their colorways off for something tiki. I have one that's called Luau, and it's all these kind of rainbow colors, and I came across a yarn dyer here in Georgia. They have a yarn colorway called Tiki Bar. It was actually inspired by the SOS Tiki Bar postcard. Oh, so I saw that, and I told them all about Tiki. They had no idea that Tiki was a thing. They just liked the colors, and they thought SOS was fun. So that's what I've been trying to hunt is, whether I think the colors are pretty or not. Oh, it's a Tiki yarn. I need this in my collection.
Yeah.
You do.
I do.
It's going to turn into sort of like an AA meeting. Yes, my name is Bob. I collect.
Admitting you have a problem is the first step.
It's been 3 days since I acquired my last collection.
I'm always on the lookout for old Aloha shirts. The old rain spooners, for example, stuff when it was actually made in Hawaii.
Yes.
That's always fun to find. And I tend to have more success finding that than tiki mugs, for example.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'm always looking for those.
Can we talk about the challenges of collecting stuff like that here on the East Coast?
Absolutely.
Because you can find that stuff in any corner store out in LA. But here, you have to dig deep and shameless. It's not easy.
It's like the Whitco stuff. That's why I was so surprised to stumble across a Whitco.
Yeah, it seems like if you're on the West Coast, you can't walk without tripping over something tiki.
It's everywhere. And it's more, I feel like there's a lot of people here that want to collect it and way less of it to collect, so it's a lot more competitive.
Yeah, exactly.
And in fact, it's part of our vacations when we go somewhere. You look and see if there are any tiki bars, and then you look and see, you schedule one antiquing thing.
Yes.
Hey, that thing that you guys want to do that I don't know how to do? I'm going to go to the Salvation Army.
You just described our entire honeymoon.
I was actually about that. Something similar to that. Now, the downside is, as much as eBay takes some of the fun out of it, so my job travels me a lot to places that are not glorious West Coast locations, so middle of nowhere Kentucky, middle of nowhere Wisconsin. Now living in Atlanta, you get on Marketplace, and some people always get the best stuff immediately. So anything that comes on the marketplace is gone in 5 minutes. But if you go to middle of nowhere, Wisconsin,
Yeah.
you do all your safe searches, you find this amazing stuff
Yeah.
that someone in the middle of nowhere who doesn't have a local like passion fan group.
Even in North Georgia.
Yeah, I met this
small
guy in
town.
Wisconsin. He was in his 70s, and he had all this stuff that he brought back from New Zealand. It was all hand carved, and he had like $5 for this hand carved 12 foot, 8 inches tall, and just random searches that I like to do that I would never otherwise find. They're not even in the dig stores. They're just in someone's house in the middle of nowhere. That they're just clearing out their basement, and they're like, someone might want this, and it'll sit there for I'll find it, and it's been on there for 2 months, and no one's even messaged them about it, but it's just sitting there waiting for someone to pass through and do a random marketplace search.
Well, not to give away my secrets, but you can do that here in Atlanta because there's a huge market, and there's a group of people that know there's a huge market. But there's a lot of people that have no idea anybody wants this stuff, and they don't want it. Like their parents pass away, they're just going through the house getting rid of stuff. Estate sales here, especially the ones they don't advertise online and put all the pictures up and everybody posts it to the board. You go to those and people have no interest in it, and so you can get it cheap. A lot of times too, it's people getting married and their significant other wants them to get rid of their great aunt's, tiki furniture that they don't use that's in the basement. And so you buy it off them for $40, So you just have to kind of be smart and look around, and it's there. You just have to find the people that don't care.
You can
And
also
not
do
tell anyone.
clever searches on eBay. Like a lot of times if I'm looking for lunch boxes, I'll put in lunch pail, which nobody calls them lunch
Spell
pails.
it wrong
Really old people
Oh, yeah.
that want to get rid of these damn things. And I've found a lot of boxes like that, and nobody finds them for you. It's that on.
The best estate sale question is, did grandma drink? Liquor. The old vintage liquor bottles that they had no intention of selling.
No, she just throw them away.
Yeah.
It doesn't work as well anymore, but I used to get a lot of vintage mugs looking for bases.
Bases.
Yeah, you search eBay for ceramic bases and planters.
Oh yeah.
That's good.
Back
It's clever.
I can see that because certainly, when you go to, I've been, when I go to Goodwill or something, they've just got that one. Sometimes they'll have just one row of ceramics, and that's all. It's just anything ceramic. So you look at it oh, there's a mug there.
It was heartbreaking. I got an early, a 2003 Tiki farm, but it had dirt so crusted in it because they've been using it as a planter. I can't get it clean to use.
Do you put that on the high shelf for display?
Well, that's an interesting. That brings me to an interesting. How do you display your prized possessions? Do you have a room? Do you have? You guys do you have a tiki bar?
I don't have a tiki bar. I have a studio though that is just lined with shelves, and so every inch of the walls is covered with vintage crap. And that's part of making art. I want to be submerged in it. And I really don't have a lot of new art. Almost everything is vintage. I'm just surrounded, with clothes, and everything is just vintage. I live in it because it just helps me create. But yeah, no, I've never had a bar.
Okay, I know both of you have pretty recent tiki bars. Pretty recent.
It's a work in progress.
Yeah,
And I think every bar, every collection.
No, actually, ours is overflowed. We've run out of shelf space, and we have nowhere to put shelves. So we recently found an antique shop that was moving to a smaller space and getting rid of some of their big, giant showcase displays. We bought a couple of those, and we put them in the hallway leading to the tiki bar. And we're doing that as more of a formal.
It's slowly taking over the whole house.
Yeah. But we're doing more of an intro display with little pieces this is all our stuff from Trader Vic's, and this is all of the things we got on our honeymoon. And they're just little vignettes, dioramas.
Organized.
Yeah. Makes me feel really good just to stare at it all in perfect condition with lighting. It's very peaceful.
Now, does your tiki bar have a specific theme?
Ours is a little bit nerdy. It's got a lot of literary and Star Trek, Star Wars stuff, and then a lot of vintage, old classic, Heart of Darkness, Lovecraft. A lot of that's kind of hidden in different places. So it's kind of a tiki bar.
And describe your bar.
We call it the Den of Monsters, and there are hundreds of feet of shelves of tiki mugs. There are as much stuff as I can frame, like interlocked on the walls, using as much wall space as I can. And I have probably half that much like in the back room that's literally framed and stacked, so I can just go swap stuff out every once in a while. One end of it is a bar that we built ourselves, so it's a 6-seat bar that's got display stuff built into it, and custom shelving and all that nonsense. I just started carving stuff so that I can replace the drop ceiling with more art.
More art.
Hey, going up.
And is it someplace, I mean, with your studio, and obviously that doesn't seem to be as much of a social, I mean, there are a lot of people like seeing your collection?
Oh, just friends.
Friends, sure.
Yeah.
Derek's studio tours would be fun.
Hey, I do
Be into
that.
that.
I can do that. Let's do that. I'll do that.
Let's do it.
You bring the booze.
Yes, sir. Like the flavor.
Is that going to be part of like one of the next bus tours?
No, because then one of us could get tickets.
Hey! I mean, I don't have an answer for that. We did the bus tour sold out in 15 minutes. I can't do anything about that.
In a second, it's good for us.
You got a good problem.
Absolutely. Anybody else with any sort of other stories of collecting?
I would say, touching on what you were just talking about, as far as what we do with our collection,
Right.
I think it is really important, depending on who you are, like how you share it with other people.
Yes.
You know, like do you use it as a touchstone, a way to draw people in and kind of help them learn more about you without having to actually talk to them because you might have anxiety about things like that. Or is it, you know, like for me, I love all this stuff and I want everybody to see how awesome it is because it's awesome to me and I think everyone should agree with me. So I like that I have it all kind of in a bar setting because then you can invite people over, have, you know, a couple drinks and just like there's crazy lighting on stuff. Our mugs are all lit up with that rainbow lights that change colors and things. It just becomes interactive and brings new life to these old objects that otherwise were, you know, in someone's back closet collecting dust.
There's a particular joy to turning somebody on to a new collection. Like now you're going to tell me about lunch boxes because I want to know like what the highs and lows. Yeah,
Let's talk.
Because when you see that passion that you have like transfer to somebody else, and they're like, oh, so is this a good one or is this a? And you're like, well, do you love it? Because I can tell you this about it and this about it.
Honestly, I don't need the competition. Mind your own business.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
I'm jealous. I only have ideas of displaying my stuff. Most of unfortunately, my office space and garage areas looks like something out of Hoarders. Like there's just stacks of comics and books and stuff. So it's just crazy. At one point though, I have made it a goal like probably in the next year or so to really just streamline and come up with those piles. Throw away, sell, keep.
Yeah.
And the keep one has to be the smallest one.
I just, a couple of months ago, moved from Sandy Springs to Kirkwood. So a smaller house, downsizing. My kids are grown now, so I don't need all the room. But going through the mountains of crap and deciding what to get rid of was the most painful experience of my life.
Organize it and label it, and you can justify keeping it.
So I had to, and I basically did it by time frame. If it was something, past 1980, it went, and it was all this, it was, 70s and back to that, and so everything I held on to was all vintage stuff, But the other thing that's interesting is that stuff sits on your walls and on your shelves, and you're surrounded by it. You forget about it because you're going about your daily round. I'm working, and I don't think about it. But when you have to go through it and wrap it up and put it in a box and take care of it, and then you get to your new place, you unwrap it, you pull it out. This is fucking cool. You get so excited about it because it's like it reignites that excitement that you had when you first got it and pulled it up, whatever. Take it out.
One thing I read that helps me try and keep things reasonable. I haven't been in my house, like none of the collections are reasonable, but somebody said like everything you own represents a promise to yourself. And getting rid of it or downsizing it means coming to terms with what that promise is. And are you going to keep it? Is it okay to keep it later? Or do you need it anymore? Do you still need that promise? And if you think about the things that you own from that lens, it makes it a little bit easier.
That's
like,
a good idea.
When we moved to a smaller place a while back, like the promise that it turned out what I needed for a lot of stuff was just to take one more picture about it, one picture of it, say what I liked about it, put it on the internet, and then I could get rid of it. So I got rid of just tons of stuff. But I also had all these interactions with people. It was neat because they were like, oh, I had that. Or like, don't throw that away, I gotta have it in my collection. I was like, all right, okay.
I guess once you make the decision to part with it, though, I mean, it's something you have to really stick to because it's not like, well, I'll only part with it if somebody's going to give me X amount of dollars for it, right? Because otherwise you just have to.
Don't take them to your local Goodwill where you'll see them a week later and regret
Oh,
it.
that's
I only did that once.
Ouch.
I may have bought back something.
Because in particular,
$4.
in particular, you know, I've been thinking, man, I've got so many comics. I need to organize them. I need to go through them. There's no way all of these can stay in the house, you know. And I broached the subject with Michelle. I said, I think I'm thinking about maybe looking into getting a storage unit. And her eyes looked up at me like I said the most romantic thing in 2 decades. She was like, I couldn't have made her happy. So very good. Maybe we'll see if that does come to fruition.
So I was wondering if any of you have any documentation or legacy practices around your collections, and if you're not going to be giving them to family, what might you do with a collection that you find significant? Where would you potentially put it, or who would you gift it to?
Or what about like insurance reasons? I mean, do you have your collections insured?
I do.
I took photos.
Thought about that. No, it's just for me, and once I'm gone, screw it.
And what kind of documentation would you consider, and it might be a question or answers that would be different for everybody, if you were to gift it to somebody, what kinds of things would be important for you to tell them about the items that you have?
Now, along
This
that
is
line,
another panel.
yeah, no. My mother-in-law actually, once she saw that we had we also collect glassware, that we had a good collection of vintage glassware from like the 50s and 60s, she passed down some pieces that had belonged to her mother and wrote a letter to us, telling us the story about the glassware and where they came from and what they meant, and rolled it up and put it inside of the glasses. So that's how we'll hold on to what that is.
I have specific instructions to back a truck up to this guy's house from his wife to take all the stuff out. Get it out of the house.
With the ones that I know are rare or weird or whatever, I'll put a slip of paper in them and be like, you know, Mooga Mooga says this is worth this on this date, and it was from here.
Cool. That's cool.
Because I've got some weird stuff.
Yes, we know about the heads.
But one thing I started doing in the Tiki bar, just to make it feel more Adventureland, is I took a bunch of tea pens and have some distressed paper that I write like this was part of my uncle's collection, but just stick it in the wall. And it's partially because one of the things from my uncle's collection when he passed away was a sea turtle shell that he ate in the Bahamas in the 70s when he lived on one of the Bahamian islands. And he gave me this turtle shell. Well, I got it when he passed away, and I was like, so that's kind of creepy. And I don't really want everybody telling me like, you can't have that.
Yeah.
You know, you're contributing to the endangerment of whatever. So I figured, well, if I start labeling stuff, I'm like, this is from the collection of Captain Baxter Taylor of 1973 when he ate it on St. Andrews Island. It's not on me. But once I started doing it for a couple of pieces, I started doing it for all of them. You know, so one of these days I'm going to be walking barefoot down there, I'm going to step on one of those damn pens, and then my blood will be in the carpet.
When I die, I'm going to give all my lunch boxes to Jonathan.
And Jonathan will have lots of fun researching them all, and Allison will come find your grave, like a sledgehammer to it.
I'll be dead, so I don't care.
So, Jonathan, it sounds like you don't drink out of all of your tiki mugs.
I have made a point to drink out of most of them. I'll drink a shot out of one. It's the same as the label or the packaging thing, you know.
Yes.
Like, if most books in the collection have to have been read, most mugs have to have been drunk out of.
Use it.
I mean, yeah.
See, I can't. I'm too clumsy. So I know the minute I have like a sip of alcohol, I'm gonna drop the mug and ruin it, and so I can't trust myself. We have a set of easily replaceable glassware mugs that we use for actual drinking out of, and then the others are display. So I don't trust myself.
Well, I'm going to say, I can't believe I'm saying this in front of a crowd of tiki people, but I'm not a huge drinker. So like I have mugs, but and to me putting juice or milk or soda in them just seems wrong. Like it just seems like don't do that. So yeah, a lot of my mugs probably will never see a drop of.
We gotta learn some good mocktails. We'll get you some mocktail recipes.
Kitty cocktails.
There you go.
Oh yeah. A friend of mine's a photographer, and he's also a teetotaler, but he collects tiki mugs, and he builds these gorgeous ice cream sundaes in them.
Wow.
He's like, you garnish it, and it's got color, and you get these gorgeous colorways, and whipped cream and cherry, and putting an umbrella in it. There's some of the best product photography I've got from my mugs. Is freaking sundaes.
That is amazing.
That's a great idea.
I also I think there's I don't know if it's more than one, but I know that there's an artist out there that makes lamps out of tiki mugs, right? So that looks pretty good. Now, I don't want 20 lamps in my house, but but I mean, I like the idea of it.
That's cool.
Repurpose collection.
The lamp collection would be even worse than the mug collection. That's what
You're not helping.
Exactly.
I have a lot of fun with my mugs, just reorganizing them all the time. Like, here's all my barrels in one place, and then here's all my fish in another place. And then next thing we go, oh, these are all the ones from this place. It's a lot of fun just moving around a lot.
One of the things that puts me very much in mind of, in order to enjoy things when I get them, because otherwise it's just one more part of the collection. I've got 2 shelves that are just the newest, right?
Yeah,
and stuff.
I do that with the lunchboxes. Yeah, I do too. And I've got deep shelves, so the old lunchboxes go to the back, and then the other ones come to the front. So they're 3 deep on these shelves.
Rotate your stock.
Are your displays seasonal?
I have occasionally done that. Who is it? And I'll occasionally do all rum barrels. I'll be drinking out of barrels, so I'm gonna go get all the rum barrels I have and put them on this shelf. Or I'm gonna go get every tiki bar that I've. Yes, I'm weird, Derek. That's a surprise. But I'll go okay, here's a Tiki Cat mug, here's a Devil's Reef mug, and line them up and then turn them all around so they show the logos. So it's just all the logos.
Wow.
Don't judge me.
No. This is a non-judgment zone. To each their own. We all collect what we collect, right? It's all good.
I have all the ones with special stuff on the back we put in a mirrored case so you can see. So you don't have to flip them around.
Wow.
That's it.
Some of them have stuff all the way around, like yours.
Yes.
Your Innsmouth mug, I can't face it in any direction that shows me all the things I like at once. So I just have to rotate it every few days to make myself feel good.
That's perfect.
Get a little remote, all these
That's
stains.
what I need. Tiny electric season. Yeah, that's
I'm on a turntable.
Driving us crazy with your intricate designs. Do you now when you design your mugs, is there any sort of collectability ideas put into that? As far as this is going to look good on a shelf, or this has to be this size to match this, or when you do a barrel, right? Is there a size that you're most barrel mugs are this size?
Yes, I try if it's because a lot of my mugs are I try and make it my version of that mug. I've only got a fog cutter mug, barrel mug. Like, you know what I mean? I kind of like work through the different styles of mugs.
Okay.
And I try and hit something that'll hit all of those feelings, you know? And then it's all like just brain spaghetti. Like whenever I work on anything, it's like all the details and then take out, you know, like make it workable, but leave in as many as I possibly can, because that's the only way I'm satisfied to get them out of my stupid brain.
What about you when you create your art? Is there any sort of, are you just creating, or are you considering the audience or the collector?
I don't. I try sometimes do, and sometimes I try to think in terms of, oh, that kind of print does really, really well. Oh, that painting will sell. And no, I'm always wrong. I never, you can't figure it. There's no way. So I gave up years ago. So I'm a selfish jerk. I mean, I really do it all for me. And I do it to make myself happy. At the end of the day, I created something I dig. I can sleep good at night. You know, I really do. And thankfully, there's a lot of people that dig it as well. And so that seems to work best for me. So yeah, I don't, you know, or maybe I'm inspired by a jazz album cover or some old album cover, or, you know, I've got like in my massive collection, most of my, I mean not most, but a lot of books of vintage stuff, you know, and so I'll just thumb through those and get ideas, and it'll start me, and then it'll just go from there, and I just kind of let it roll out, but no real reason, I just do it.
Cool. Yes?
Does your lunchbox collection influence your art at all?
Have you done it?
I have not.
What?
Shag and I soared and did a lunchbox together because he did the kitty cocktail lunchbox, but he used my typeface. I don't think he knew that he was working with me.
Oh, you don't tell the typeface story. Little cameo.
Oh yeah, that's a stupid.
Oh, that's awesome.
Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, the new Tarantino flick.
Oh.
There's a scene there in Rick Dalton's apartment. Above his TV, there's this big poster, and it's for Jigsaw Jane. And so I saw it like a couple of weeks ago, and I flipped out when I saw this. And the Jigsaw Jane type is my creaky Tiki font. So I was like, I'm in a Tarantino movie. And then we got to go after him and get $600. Extra gravy.
Well, on that note, thanks everybody for coming out. We appreciate it. We are in the app, so if you would, please vote, give us some stars, and we can keep doing this because we love doing the Tiki panels. So.